So if you've ever wondered, am I doing the right things? Am I doing the right steps? Today's episode is perfect for you. I've got 6 move the needle steps that you can take to make sure your course business is on a new trajectory this year. So let's get to it.
Welcome to the Course Creators HQ podcast, helping you navigate the latest techniques for creating and marketing online courses. And now, here is your host, Julie Hood.
Hello, and welcome to the Course Creators HQ podcast. I can't believe it. We're on episode 129. So if you want to catch the notes from what we talk about today, you can go to coursecreatorshq.com/129. And today I wanted to share 6 big steps for you to take that will transform your online course business. If you do all of these and follow through, I think you'll be shocked at how much more you accomplish and how much more you get done. So for this year, the team and I put together the ultimate course creators planner for you. And it's huge. It's got tons and tons and tons of documents in there. And today I want to talk about kind of the best way that you can use it for more focus to get more things done. And I pulled out 6 of my favorite pages so that you can use those and then fill them in and keep yourself on task in the year ahead. So if you just want to go grab the planner, go to coursecreatorshq.com/podcast planner, and it is free. Just put in your email address. You can get a hold of it. Podcast planner, say that 10 times fast, so that you can get a hold of it. And then once you get to the download page, there's 2 sections. There's a part 1 and a part 2. Because this thing was so huge, I didn't want you to have to deal with these big files. So we separated it into 2 different parts. And as I'm talking through the page numbers today, these are going to be the Adobe page numbers once you have the files open in Adobe Acrobat. It's not necessarily the page numbers in the document. These are the page numbers once you have the file open. The other thing that my lovely assistant did for y'all is she added boxes so that you can type into these pages directly and then print them off. So if you do want to have them typed up, you can do that, or you can just print the pages out and write on them if you'd rather. Either way works. It's just what you prefer. So if you ever want to do that, actually, I'll give you a little sidebar for your students where you have a PDF and you want to make it into a document that they can actually type into. There's a website called pdfescape.com. That's pdfescape.com, and it will let you go in and add these typable, editable, fillable boxes, however you want to describe it, so that you can then add those in to your PDFs and your workbooks. All right. So the other thing I want to tell you, I don't recommend that you just sit down and print off the whole thing. It is humongous and it will use a ton of ink from your printer. And there are some repetitive pages in there. I gave some different formats and some different layouts because depending on how you like to work, you might like one over the other. So you won't need them all. So I would go through and be kind of strategic about which ones you print off for your personal use. All right. So number 1, and this is actually one of my favorites. So it is to take better notes from the training, from the podcasts, from any kind of free events that you go to where you get some ideas, and I want you to take better notes from those and then actually follow up with the action steps. And I know this is a big one for me. I love listening to all kinds of creators out there who will share, they'll give you their 3 secrets to this and 5 ways to do that. And I'm always like, oh yeah. And I take notes in different places, but making sure I actually follow up on the back end of that and do those action steps. So if you go to part 2 of the planner and go to page 29, there is a page that you can print off for each one of these events that you attend, where you actually type in the notes about what you learned and then create your action steps, and you can check them off as you do it. So print off that page 29, print off a few versions of it, or even type into it if you want to, and then use those to make sure that you do some of those things. So the first one could be this podcast episode. Your first action step is to take better notes and print off that page 29. All right. So number 2 is to brain dump your project list and review it every week this year. So let me back up a little bit and explain what I mean by this. So one of the best things I learned from David Allen in his Getting Things Done book was the concept of having a project list where you have a list of all the big things that you're working on right now, and that you could go back through and review it and make sure you're moving them forward. Because I know we have our daily to-do list, but I know for me, sometimes I forget about those different projects that I want to make sure I'm focusing on. And it's kind of that middle level between you've got your goals and the things that you want for the year, and then you've got your daily to-dos, but in between there are the different projects that you're working on. So when you have this project list, you can use it to review and make sure you're moving them forward and not let any of them fall through the cracks. So page 42 in part 1 has a project list for you. So you can go in, type those up, create your project list, print that off, keep it handy, check it every week, and make sure you're moving those big projects forward. Put some tasks on your list from there, some to-do list tasks from that project list, and then you'll make sure that they keep moving forward. And then number 3 is to plan some 90-day sprints. So you may have heard there's quite a few experts that like to talk about, instead of planning out your year, that you plan out your quarter, which is like 12 weeks or 90 days. And I actually agree with them. I think it's so much easier to focus and really have specific projects that you're doing over a 90-day period. So we put together some of my favorite quarterly calendars on page 15 through 18 of, let me make sure I got this right, 15 through 18 of part 1. There are quarterly calendars. So you can go and print those off, and then here's how I want you to use them. Look at your project list and say, okay, what am I going to do this month? What am I going to do next month? And then what am I going to make sure I do that third month of the quarter to make sure that the right projects are done by the end of the quarter? And you may only have one big thing, which is like create your course, and that's going to be your quarterly project. Or you may have a couple. Maybe you're going to do a launch, so you've got some different pieces to that. But thinking through it in that 90-day sprint of, okay, how am I going to focus this quarter? What is it I'm going to focus on making sure happens? I think will make you so much more productive, because then every quarter you have these big things that you're finishing. That's why we're doing it this way. We want to know that we've got the time blocked out to actually finish. So that's number 3. Plan some 90-day sprints using the quarterly calendars on pages 15 through 18 of part 1. Okay. Number 4 is, I've got a whole section for you to design your course and plan out your launch. So it is section 3 has all of the stuff for course and launch planning. And this is in part 2. So the other ones, they're in different sections. So depending on whether you're looking at part 1 or part 2, section 3 is in part 2. So here's just a few of the pages that are in there to help you with this. The first one is an overall course planner. So it helps you kind of plan out, what's my title going to be? What are my modules? What's the outcome going to be? And then page 4 is that lesson planner, where you can make notes about, okay, this individual lesson, what is it about? And what am I going to teach? What's that outcome? And then page 6, we get into a timeline so that you can start thinking about your launch. Like, what are the key timeline features of your launch? So I'm getting ready. In March, we're going to be launching the 24-hour course creator again, and this is going to be the big daily version where you get to work with me for 5 weeks, and then we have ongoing coaching for another 5 months. So it's a big launch, and I've started jotting down like the different pieces of getting ready for that. So not only do we have to get all of our assets ready, which is all the images and the swipes. I want to follow up with my JV partners. I need to get some new things ready for them. I want to change it up a little bit this time, but we are going to have the topic and title challenge again. So all these things, I want to have them written down somewhere so that I have all of these pieces of the puzzle in one place. So you can use that launch timeline. And then after that, there's another 4 pages to really help you hone in on your launch as far as what emails am I sending, what social media posts am I sending, what images do I need to be creating, like how is all this going to fall into place. So use that section 3 to get a hold of your course plans and your launch plans. You can pull all of those together in one place. All right, that's number 4, design your course and your launch. Number 5, and this is one that you'll be so happy about when it comes April and it's time to do taxes. And that's that I want you to track some of those really important numbers and track them regularly. So maybe it's monthly, maybe it's quarterly, depending on how often you want to track them. But it's section 5 in part 2 has a whole bunch of pages to help you with tracking numbers. So it's things like estimating your revenue, tracking your income and expenses, looking at what kind of bills do I have that hit every month. So what kind of recurring expenses do I have? And then looking at some of the other kind of fun numbers, which are things like how many subscribers do I have, and keeping track of that, because you want to constantly be focusing on growth and making those expand. And then as we dig in a little bit more, you might even need a place to keep up with your mileage for your taxes or your savings. So all of those numbers in section 5 are essential for keeping really focused and keeping on top of what's going on for your business in the year ahead. Now, you may want to go over and use spreadsheets for that, so it'll do some of the math for you. That's great too. I just wanted to give you some ideas of what you could track and some of the things that you could be keeping on top of. All right, number 6. And this is another one that I think can either make or break your launches this year. And that's if you are working with joint venture partners and you're having meetings and you're connecting with people, then you can use, there's actually 2 pages. So I want to tell you about both of them. So the first one is just a meeting planner page. And I know I will have meetings sometimes where either we don't have an agenda or we don't have follow-up action steps that actually happen. So this is in part 2, and it's page 27. There's a whole page for making your meetings run better and be more efficient and make sure you actually follow up. So let's say that I was going to have a meeting with a potential partner. I can use this form to kind of make notes and keep track of what we talk about. And then there's another one on page 28 that's specifically around joint venture partners. So you can use the 2 of those or whichever one lights your fire to keep track of who you're meeting with, when you're meeting with them, what you guys talk about. You know, are you promoting them? Are they promoting you? Keep track of all those details, and then the follow-up steps to make sure they actually happen. Because I know that was one of the big things for me last year is I met with some incredible people and then I let the follow-through slip through the cracks. So I'm hoping to do better on that this year. And I hope the files and the pages can help you also do better on that. So I hope these 6 ideas will keep you more focused, help move the needle in the year ahead, and go grab the whole planner from CourseCreatorsHQ.com coursebusiness.com/129. That will give you the links to the documents that we talked about today, where to get signed up for the planner. And then I'm also going to put an index to all the pages in there. So if we just barely scratched the surface of what's in this planner, and I wanted to just give you 6 easy things to get started that could hopefully make a big dent in your year, but there's a bunch more in there. So make sure you get your copy, and you can jump over to /129 so that you can get signed up and see the whole index. So thanks so much for being here. Hope this was helpful for you and that you have an incredible week. Thank you for following, and thank you for subscribing. Thank you for recommending this podcast. And also, if you get a chance to review, if there's something that you're enjoying, I really appreciate those 5-star reviews. I end up doing little happy dances around the office as those come through. So thanks so much. I hope you have an amazing, amazing week, and keep going on that course business. Keep plowing through and moving forward. And I can't wait to see what you accomplish this year. Take care.